everyone, you're watching Q&A. I'm Jenny, and today I am here with Paul and Steve.
Hello, Jenny.
Hello,
Thanks
Jenny.
for being on the show again, guys.
Thanks for having us here.
Yes.
It's the 20th consecutive week or something.
I know.
We got to look at getting some new people on Q&A.
It's almost like we're paid to be here.
Yeah, that's a good point, Paul.
All right, so today we've got lots of questions since I looked for some and Kyle looked for some, so let's answer some questions.
Okay.
Let's get it rolling. All right, this first one comes from Eamon Kummert. Is there a game that has taught you something? I did not make that name up, but they probably did.
That sounds
I'm just saying. All right.
legitimate.
Sorry.
It's a good name.
Is there a game that has taught you something in general that's applicable outside of that game, and what did you learn? You're asking us to validate video games as a life teaching, lessoning tool.
I learned that you don't want to push a big green crystal into a flowing beam of light because you could cause a resonance cascade. And that's really something important. Honestly, I really wanted to take your question seriously, man, but all I could think about was jokes. And I just started playing Half-Life again, a playthrough, but that was the first thing that popped in my head. I apologize.
But Steve did meet his wife playing a video game.
That's important.
Yes, and that was a good way to tell everybody out there that video games aren't social when you're being extremely social online. Yes, they are. I haven't met my wife that way, so.
Video games are.
She's hot.
They're a great way. Video games are a great way to meet girls. That's what I learned from video games, mostly from Grand Theft Auto series.
Wait, yeah, because your wife games too, doesn't she?
Yes.
Excellent.
I actually, same on the relationship note, co-op Portal. I think that's a good way. Friendships, relationships, any kind of ships. Co-op Portal. If you want to know if that relationship has any ground underneath it,
Oh yeah.
you can play that together.
Problem solving, communication, teamwork, trust. Are they going to open that portal? Or are they going to drop you in that little hole?
Oh,
yeah, I totally see it
you
now.
You could like smash your partner on accident several times.
On accident purpose.
And Gladys will call you on that too. She'll say, Orange, Blue seems to have given you a valuable lesson in trust.
No.
Oh, I love that game.
So that's like reinforcement. It's almost like having your own like therapist there for the
yeah, I
relationship.
think it should be required premarital counseling. If you can't make it through Portal Co-op, you can't make it through life.
That's a good point, Jenny.
Okay, so some other questions. This one comes to us from Corey H. He says, hi at Newegg, I have two questions for you guys today in order of preference. The first one is, he is currently looking at monitors that can go with the new high-end gaming rig. So he says, I play a lot of FPS games, so a high refresh rate monitor would be nice, but I also would like a monitor that can show all of the beautiful scenery that is accompanying new games today. What monitor in an affordable range would you guys recommend? We're not really great at recommending things on price points because we're kind of not allowed to do that, but I think we could offer a little bit of feedback on that.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure. I think you need to focus on what type of monitor you want first, and then kind of see what price ranges are available for that. And what monitor you get is going to largely be dependent on the system that you're able to build. If you have lots of money and you can build a really high-end system right now, then you might look for something like even 4K, since there are 4K 60 Hertz monitors that are out there. But don't go really high resolution unless you're going to have the system to back it up. So bear that in mind as well. And then but beyond that, it's kind of the choice between your color depth on the one side, because like an IPS display could give you more color depth, or the fast response time on the other side, because like a TN panel can give you really fast response time. That's what Steve uses because he really likes that nice, smooth, fluid gameplay. So if you're more of an FPS gamer or a Twitch gamer, and you need really, really quick response, like, you know, aiming and shooting is going to be really important, then I would say go with a TN panel, and you can get really reasonably priced TN 1080 panels right now if you're okay with that, and that'd be good. I'd say that'd be my recommendation because you don't need the system to back it up. It's going to be less expensive right now, and then maybe in a couple years, once 4K panels become a little bit more affordable and there's a bit more variety of choice there, then you could possibly think about upgrading.
Totally agree with you, actually. And to go along with that, I actually really enjoy playing on my 1080p 144 Hz refresh rate Asus monitor. But but there are other 144 hertz and 120 hertz refresh rate monitors out there, and if you haven't had a chance to play with them, you might not be thinking it's that big of a deal, but I was blown away when I sat down and played one with actually Mike Ross. We built the system for him, and I never messed around with 144 or 120 hertz plus refresh rate monitors, and it looked better on his system than it did on mine, and mine was more powerful. So that sold me.
Steve's face was like
yeah, you could see it. It's like, what's happening right now?
Yep.
Yes.
What is happening?
Seriously, it was just way more responsive, even on other games too. I mean, RTS or anything else. Personally, something I noticed right away and I really enjoyed. So if you haven't tried it, I recommend trying it. If you don't see the difference, then it's not worth the money for you. But I would definitely recommend 1080 because 1080 right now is going to give you great frame rates for most games on pretty meager hardware. I'm running a 780, and it's destroying most games, and I'm still only running at 1080p, so decisions, I guess.
All right, so his second question is what sort of university, college courses did you guys take to get into the industry that you're in now? And I think I might put together a episode of Q&A that's Q&A FAQ edition, or frequently asked questions edition, because even though we've all talked about this a lot, it still comes up all the time. Like, what did you guys do to get where you are today?
Yeah.
I think the answers may shock you. Steve, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure, why not? So originally, back in like the 2000s, early 2000s, I was going to SDSU for a bachelor's in computer engineering. Never finished. Lots of things in life ended up happening to me, and it ended up meaning that I couldn't complete my bachelor's. I didn't end up going back. Got sucked into the world of debt and work that ended up culminating in a career other than what I'm currently doing right now. Did a little bit of web design for a while, enjoyed that a lot. Bumped into the Newegg crew here by winning an award, and actually flew out to Las Vegas, and it was an amazing time. Anyways, that about 2 years later turned into a job opportunity. But yes, for me that was more like winning the lottery than it was for others to try and find something like this and a career path like this. So I'm probably not what would be a perfect example of working here would be. But
I think you're also the only one on the whole team who has a college background that involved computer sciences. The rest of us kind of came to it. Yeah. came to it organically through hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I came to it through you.
Yeah. There you go.
I went to school for film, cinema, television, that type of thing. I also didn't finish. I got the job at Newegg, entry level over in customer service. So that could be an option if you guys are willing to invest a few years and kind of work your way up the chain. If there's a entry-level position at a tech company, whether it's a retailer or manufacturer, something like that, kind of getting your foot in the door is often important there, and then just through a series of circumstances ended up doing the Newegg TV stuff. So, but you got to stay passionate. You have to spend a lot of time just researching and keeping up with the technology and everything. So if computers and technology are something that you're really interested in, then just having that enthusiasm for it and maintaining the knowledge of it, because it constantly changes, is probably one of the most important things.
Constantly. Yeah.
I'm not going to go into my educational background because we'll be here for the rest of the afternoon.
It's mostly in prison, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I am going to just toss out some general college these days advice. Whatever it is that you want to do in the future, keep that in mind as like an overall goal, but be flexible on your journey getting there, and go into as little debt as possible for your education, because every single one of us sitting here today are living proof that your education and whatever it is, your background is, does not necessarily guarantee you a job. So definitely do your research, and as Paul said, the passion and the drive to get into it will help fuel how you make that plan, and ultimately how you get your foot into the door somewhere. That's what's going to do it. It's going to be your networking and how passionate you are about what you are getting into. So that said, I think we might put together a FAQs episode of Q&A that people can reference with that.
That's a really good idea.
Silly backgrounds in it.
Yeah.
The next one comes from Harris G. He says, "Hi Newegg team, I'm rocking a SteelSeries Apex raw keyboard, and I'm looking to upgrade to a Cherry MX Blue mechanical keyboard. Do you enjoy mechanical keyboards, and do you have one? If so, which switch do you like, and do you think it's worth the extra money to upgrade from something like a rubber dome? Thank you so much, and keep up the amazing work on your videos. Thank you, Harris. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. I definitely enjoy mechanical switches. I lean towards the Cherry MX Browns when it comes to preference for what Cherry has to offer. I look at a mechanical keyboard as more of a long-term investment because it's going to last a lot longer than a rubber dome keyboard. So definitely try as many as you can, go into stores, that type of thing, and check them out, because once you've bought one, ideally it should last you a good 3, 4, 5+ years. If you're taking care of it and make sure to clean it every now and then. There's a video on my channel about how to clean mechanical keyboards, actually.
And with Paul's background in how to make cinema, his videos are quite nice to watch.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, it's definitely, they have a really nice feel, and as far as what I use personally, I have a Cherry MX Brown keyboard that I use at home on my test bed, but apart from that, I have a bunch of different ones. I use an ergonomic Microsoft rubber dome keyboard for typing on my main system right now. I actually have a Topra keyboard over here that uses these Topra switches that I have as my work system, which is really nice for typing. So check out also the different switches and what are recommended depending on whether you're going for more gaming, whether you do a lot of typing, or whether you just want something that, you know, if you wear out keyboards a lot, you might want to stick with rubber dome. Because if you tear through keyboards, wearing out a mechanical one is going to be more costly than a rubber dome option.
Yeah, but their mean time between failures is so much longer. I would actually suggest if you're
they are, but people who wear, like you wear at the keycaps and stuff like that, that's an actual possibility as well. So
Cooler Master has the keycaps.
That's true. You can swap out the keycaps. So yeah, there's lots of variables.
What I would say if you're going for Cherry MX Blue is actually give some consideration to the Razer green switches, because they have the same actuation weight as the Cherry MX Blue. The same, actually, they are warranted for longer use, so they're actually, I think, warranted for 10,000 or 10 million more clicks than a Cherry MX Blue mechanical keyboard is. And also what they've done is, although they've maintained the same sound and weight as a Cherry MX Blue, they've reduced the distance between the audible click, the tactile bump, and the actual actuation at you know, where the action's going to translate to your computer or your game or whatever you're doing. So they spent a lot of time in development of their switches to make them specifically for gamers. And I haven't gotten to use one at length because Razer hasn't lent us one for any you know, extended period of time. But if I was considering a Cherry MX Blue keyboard, I would actually look at that instead, because they've done so much to give you an audible tactile feedback experience that's closer to what you're seeing on the screen versus a Cherry MX switch, which is going to have a longer distance between the, you know, actuation, the sound, and the feel, and then what it translates to on your screen are a little bit disjointed because Cherry MX switches were actually designed for typing, not gaming. So I hope that helps a little bit.
What's your favorite switch then?
My favorite switch, actually, I game at home on a rubber dome. I have a really nice Corsair rubber dome keyboard, and the reason I do that is I don't like the noise, except for blacks. I work here on a Cherry MX Black switch keyboard, and also I just don't, because I typed for years and years and years on a notebook. I don't have enough of a weight behind my typing to use a mechanical keyboard efficiently. Like even my black switch one on my desk, I'll be typing along and I won't even be noticing that half the letters aren't even showing up.
Oh wow, jeez.
Because I just have such a light touch that I don't even make the switch actuate.
You got scissor switch fingers.
Yeah, so I game on a I think it's a K70 rubber dome keyboard that has some good features to it as well. I mean, it still has some macros and some profile storage that I can use. Cool. But I just prefer the soft feeling.
Yeah, I actually, due to the noise, I know it's much easier to use rubber dome as well. I have rubber dome as well as Cherry MX switches and several keyboards in my household. And my experience is, actually, it was based on an interview I did with Rajiv. He sort of advised me on the idea that you can actually be much quieter with cherries, well, Cherry MX Reds, I would say, because they don't actually have the click. And so without the click, you can be much more quiet. You just don't actuate all the way to the bottom. But I'm so used to just that I have to hit the bottom for me to know that I've hit the key, even though you don't have to. It's really a light touch. But I haven't gotten to the point, I guess, where I can play like that and be quiet and be like maybe under some duress while I'm playing and like yelling on TeamSpeak or Gamebox or whatever. And just bottom line is I'm not able to do that without like a rubber dome where I can just smash keys down and not really think about it. So, but the possibility is out there to do it. I guess I'm not skilled enough to do that. So there you go, Rajiv.
Okie dokie. And I think what's going to be our last question for today is from Bruce W. And I'm sorry, Bruce, I had to narrow it down a little bit from your original email just for timing's sake. But he asks, what's the minimum size SSD that I would need if I want to use one for running Windows 7 Home Premium in conjunction with an HDD for mass storage? He says, I'm a firefighter in NC on a tight budget doing my first build. And he asks which one is the cheapest on Newegg.com that you would recommend. But we don't usually recommend things based on price, but I think we can recommend one based on size, and based on size, you're going to see different price points. So what's some SSD, solid state drive information that he could use to make this purchase? First,
that's awesome that you're a firefighter.
Thank you.
So thanks for taking care of people out there, being a first responder. And then the next thing I wanted to say is I was going to recommend a 128 gigabyte SSD.
Yep.
Would you say that'd be good enough?
Yeah.
I feel like with patches and everything, you just have to delete your cache from time to time, but...
I mean, even with that, depends. So a trick if you're using a smaller SSD is to turn off or at least really shrink down your page file. Page file will be whatever the size of your memory is. So if you have 16 gigs of memory, that's going to be a 16 gigs you lose from your SSD. So that's a way to free up a little bit of space there. 128 you can get by with totally fine. I actually have a 64 gig that I use on my main work computer here, and I still have like 20 gigs left on it. The trick is just have that other drive. Only store really frequently used programs on the SSD or install, I should say, and install other programs onto your mechanical drive. Keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't get too full. Try not to get past about 80% capacity, and then just a quick recommendation because I saw some benchmarks on it recently. Most of the SSDs right now for home use, you're not going to see a huge difference from them. You can look at benchmarks; they might be slightly different there, but they're all so fast right now that if it's a current generation SATA 6 gigabit per second drive, it's not going to make a huge difference for you. But I did see an MX, the Crucial MX 100, I think, for like $75 for 128 gigs. So
ridiculously good.
Yeah, you can get a really speedy drive for well under $100 these days for that much. And if you do have a little bit more money to spend, I will say getting the 240 or 256 gig capacity is a really nice one to hit because you can install a lot more programs there, especially if you play a lot of games.
Oh my God,
gaming load times is very nice for that. So maybe considering bumping up, but if you're looking to stay on a budget, 128 you should be fine.
I also wanted to add, if you wanted to, from time to time, maybe every couple months or so, especially if you're doing a lot of Windows updates like I do and Paul does, if you just right-click on the drive and go to Properties, you can clean up I think it's called Clean Up System Files or something like that. But basically, you can click that and it'll walk you through everything you need to uncheck, and it will help you tremendously saving some space. So.
Excellent. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks you
for coming in today and doing Q&A again with me.
I'm contractually obligated, but you're welcome.
Glad we could be here. No, we would come even if we weren't paid for it.
Yeah, we would. We totally would. Yes.
We would.
It's so hard to pry you away from your desk.
Yeah, I'm like, 10 more minutes, just let me finish this email.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry about that.
Well, thanks for writing in all the great questions this week, guys. We actually got so many and we couldn't get to all of them, so we're going to save them for next week. I really appreciate that. We kind of gave you a call to arms last week for keeping the show around.
Newegg Army coming at you.
Anyway. If you want to write in, it's qnegg@gmail.com, or you can tweet to @qnegg on Twitter. And until next time, thank you for watching Newegg TV.